They say every perfect picture hides a few cracks. I guess ours did too, but nobody saw it coming. Not even me. 33 years of marriage, 3 grown kids, a house in a nice neighborhood. People always told me, you have the perfect life. And maybe I did, at least on the outside. Claire, come see this, Emily shouted from the living room. I was chopping vegetables in the kitchen, half listening. What is it, sweetie? Look at these DNA results. Can you believe I'm 12% Irish? Sarah giggled, holding up her laptop. James was leaning in, laughing along. I smiled, trying to feel the excitement they had. Oh, that's cute. I wonder what I'll get. Mark sat quietly on the couch, watching his daughters like a proud dad. He never got too loud or excited about anything, but his smile was genuine. Dad, you ready to see if you're part Viking or something? James teased. Mark chuckled softly. I'm ready to be surprised. I felt a flutter in my chest. This was supposed to be fun, just a silly family thing to bond over. Maybe a little distraction from the usual quiet evenings we had. Okay, Mom, Emily said, grinning. Your turn next. I hesitated, holding the little envelope with my results. It felt heavier than it should, more real. You all right? Mark asked, looking at me. Yeah, just nervous, I guess. It's weird seeing what you really are on paper. He nodded, understanding. It's just a bit of fun, nothing to stress over. I wished I believed that. Sometimes when Mark wasn't looking, I wondered how much fun we really had anymore. He was steady, sure, but distant, like a calm lake that never rippled. Mum, come on. Sarah nudged me, smiling. Don't chicken out. I laughed nervously and sat down with them. The kids crowded around the screen, clicking open each result, one by one. Hey, this is wild, James said. Look, Dad, you have 0% Native American. None. Mark raised an eyebrow. Well, that settles something. We all laughed, but inside I was holding my breath, not because of DNA, but because of a secret I'd carried for years. Years ago, when Mark was working long hours and the kids were small, I found comfort in someone else. Someone who saw me when I felt invisible. It was a mistake, a big one. But it happened. I pushed the thought away and forced a smile. This was our moment, and I had to pretend everything was fine. Okay, here goes, I said, clicking my results. The room filled with light-hearted chatter about percentages and ethnicities, but I couldn't focus. My mind drifted to Marcus, the man I'd kept hidden in my past. Mark looked at me, concerned. You okay? You seem quiet. I'm fine, I said quickly. Just thinking about how crazy it is we all came from so many places. Emily smiled at me. It's kind of amazing, right? How connected we all are. Yeah, I murmured, my voice barely above a whisper. The kids started planning a dinner to celebrate the test results, but I felt like I was on the edge of a cliff, trying not to fall. Mark's hand found mine, warm and steady. Whatever happens, we're family. That's what counts. I wanted to believe him. I needed to. Later, after the kids went to bed, Mark and I sat in the living room, the silence stretching between us. Do you ever wonder if we really know everything about each other? I asked. He looked at me, eyes tired but kind. Sometimes. But I think love is about accepting the unknown. I nodded, hiding the truth I wasn't ready to say, because love had a secret. One I carried alone, buried beneath decades of smiles and quiet evenings. And soon, that secret was going to rip our perfect illusion apart. Mum, you need to come see this. Emily's voice cracked through the hallway, shaking me from the kitchen where I was washing dishes. Something in her tone stopped me cold. What is it, honey? Is everything okay? There was silence for a moment. Then Sarah's voice joined hers, tight and low. You better come now. I wiped my hands on a towel, heart pounding. I didn't want to imagine what they'd found. The girls had been looking at those DNA results for days. What could possibly be so serious? When I entered the living room, they were sitting side by side, eyes glued to the laptop screen. Mark was there too, but his face was unreadable. More confused than anything. Emily looked up at me, her eyes wide, glassy. "Mom, it's bad." "Bad how?" My voice felt like a whisper, but inside, I was screaming. Sarah's hands trembled as she pointed at the screen. "Look, Dad's DNA compared to ours. James matches perfectly, but Emily and I, there's no match." "No match?" I echoed. The words felt like a knife twisting in my chest. That can't be right. Mark leaned forward, brows furrowed. "Are you sure? Maybe it's a glitch." "I triple-checked," Emily said, voice breaking. "It says 0 shared DNA. None." My knees nearly gave out. How is that possible?" Sarah covered her mouth, tears spilling down. "I don't know. We thought it was just a fun test." I sank into the nearest chair, trying to steady my breath. My mind raced, flashing back to years ago. The nights I thought I'd buried in. "Silence! Is this some kind of mistake?" Mark asked, voice low but hard. "This can't be real." I wanted to tell him to stop, that he didn't understand, but my throat closed tight. "How do you explain a secret this big?" "Mom, what's going on?" Emily's voice cracked. "Why didn't you ever tell us?" The weight of their stares crushed me. The truth clawed its way up my throat, begging to be free, but I was frozen. "Claire." Mark's eyes bore into me. "Tell us." I swallowed hard, shaking my head. "I don't know where to start," Sarah sniffled. "You should have told us years ago. We deserve to know." "I know," I whispered, guilt tearing through me. I thought I was protecting everyone. Protecting. Mark's voice rose, sharp now. By hiding the truth. I was scared, I admitted. I didn't want to break this family. Apart. Mark's fists clenched. "Well, now it's broken. Please," I begged, voice trembling. "Let me explain." Emily wiped her eyes and nodded. "Okay, we're listening." I took a shaky breath and began. "There was a time when you were working long hours and the girls were small. I felt alone. Marcus, he was a neighbor. We got close, too close." Mark's eyes darkened. "You had an affair." "It was years ago," I said quickly. 4 years. It was a mistake. But the girls, they were born then. Sarah covered her face. "You lied to us, to him, to yourself." "No," I said, voice rising. "I didn't lie. I loved all of you. I ended it the moment Marcus left town." "Why? Didn't you tell me?" Mark's voice cracked. "Why keep this secret all this time?" "Because I was afraid," I said, tears stinging. "I thought if you knew, it would destroy everything. And I wanted to protect you, protect us." "Protect us?" Mark echoed bitterly. "You destroyed us. I never wanted to hurt anyone," I whispered. I was lost and scared. Emily's voice softened. "Mum, this changes everything, but we still love you." I nodded, voice barely audible. "I love you too." Mark stood abruptly. "I need air." He left the room, slamming the door behind him. Silence fell. The girls sat motionless. The laptop's glow, the only light. "I'm sorry," I whispered to the empty room. "I never meant for this to happen." My legs gave way, and I retreated to my bedroom, closing the door softly behind me. Inside the quiet, the truth crashed over me like a wave. I knew what this meant. The trust shattered. The faces I loved now filled with confusion and hurt. I sank onto the bed, pressing my face into the pillow. How do I fix this? How do I make them understand? Hours passed. My mind replayed every moment, every choice, every lie I'd told myself to survive. The family I'd built, on love, on lies, was cracking, and I was the fault line. Tears soaked the pillow as I whispered into the dark. "I'm sorry." please forgive me. I sat down at the kitchen table, my hands trembling. The room felt cold, empty, like a graveyard where no one spoke, because every word could be a funeral bell. Mark looked at me, eyes shadowed and unreadable. Emily's face was streaked with tears. Sarah wiped her nose, sniffling. James sat frozen, like he was trying to process a dream gone wrong. I have to tell you everything, I began, voice shaking. The truth. Mark's jaw tightened. Go on. I swallowed hard. Years ago, when the girls were babies, and you were working long hours, I was lonely. I felt invisible. And Marcus, he was there. He listened. He cared. Mark's eyes darkened, but he didn't interrupt. It started as friendship, I said. But it became more. 4 years. I never meant to hurt you. Emily's voice broke. You mean you were cheating on Dad? I did. I'm sorry. My throat burned. It was a mistake, but the girls were born then. Sarah's hands clenched the table. You lied to all of us. How could you keep this from Dad? I wasn't lying, I said quickly. I was trying to protect you all. Mark leaned forward, voice cold. Protect? By keeping this secret? By letting me raise children that weren't mine? I was scared, I whispered. I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't want to destroy our family. James finally spoke, voice low. Why now? Why after all these years? Because the DNA test made it impossible to hide. I had to face it. Emily looked at me, hurt flashing in her eyes. Did you ever think about how this would affect us? How it would destroy everything? I thought about it every day, I admitted, but I hoped if I ignored it, it wouldn't hurt. Mark's voice broke, barely a whisper. You broke us. I know, I said, and I'm so sorry. I never wanted to cause this pain. Sarah's tears fell freely. We don't know who we are anymore. You're still my children, I said, voice soft. Nothing changes that. But everything changes, Emily said, voice shaking. We trusted you. We trusted Dad. Mark stood abruptly. I need some air. The door slammed behind him. Silence filled the room, heavy and suffocating. I feel sick, Sarah whispered. James looked at me. How do we move on from this? I don't know, I admitted. I wish I had answers. Emily wiped her eyes. Why didn't you tell us earlier? Because I thought it would destroy us, I said. Because I loved you all and wanted to keep our family whole. How could love lead to this? James asked, voice breaking. I don't have an answer, I whispered. Only regret. Emily looked away, voice quiet. I don't know if I can forgive you. I understand, I said, tears stinging my eyes. But I hope in time we can heal. Sarah's voice cracked. How do you live with this secret for so long? It ate at me every day, I said, but I was too afraid to speak. Fear doesn't excuse betrayal, Mark's voice echoed from the hallway. I flinched. He stood in the doorway, face pale, eyes full of pain. This isn't just about betrayal, he said. It's about trust, and you shattered mine. I know, I whispered. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want to be honest. He looked away. I don't know if I can stay. No one knows what comes next, I said. But I want to try. Mark shook his head. Try? After everything? I have to, I said. For the kids. For us. He sighed, voice heavy. I need time. I nodded, heartbreaking. Take all the time you need. He left the room again, closing the door softly behind him. The weight of silence pressed down on me. Emily spoke first. Mum, I still love you, but it's hard. I love you too, I said. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. Sarah sniffled. We don't know what right looks like anymore. We'll figure it out, I promised. Together. James looked at me, eyes searching. I'm scared. Me too, I admitted. But we have to face it. The room felt heavy but fragile, like a glass that could shatter with the wrong touch. I'm sorry, I whispered, voice breaking. For everything. They didn't answer, and maybe, for the first time, none of us knew how to move forward. The silence between Mark and me was colder than I ever imagined. After his storm of questions, he stopped speaking much. His distance was worse than any shouting match. One night I tried to break through. Mark, please, talk to me. He looked up, eyes tired, voice low. How long was it, Claire? How long? Did you lie to me? I told you everything, I said, voice shaking. 4 years during those early years. His jaw clenched. Did you ever think about me? About us? Did it mean nothing? It wasn't like that, I whispered. I was lonely, lost, he shook his head. Lost or selfish? You destroyed everything. Tears stung my eyes. I loved you. I still do. He stood abruptly. Do you? Or was it just words? I reached out, but he stepped back. Mark, please. He turned away. I don't know who you are anymore. Days passed like this. At family dinners, he barely spoke. When he did, his questions pierced me. Did Marcus know you loved me? Did you ever think of leaving? Why didn't you tell me sooner? Each question felt like a blade. I had no answers that could heal the wounds. Then came the whispers. Friends who once hugged me now avoided my gaze. Neighbors' eyes followed. Me, full of judgment. My sister Beth called one afternoon. I don't know how you could do this to your family, she said, voice cold. You need to own your mistakes. I am, I said, voice breaking. But it's not easy. You hurt Mark, Claire. You hurt everyone. I never wanted to, Beth sighed. Sometimes love isn't enough. I hung up, the weight of her words crushing me. At the grocery store, Karen from next door barely greeted me, lips pressed tight. I caught whispers behind me. How could she? After all these years. One evening, Mark came home late. I asked, softly, Are you okay? He stared at me blankly. I'm not sure I'm okay with you. The words hit harder than any fight. I'm sorry, I said. I'm trying. He shook his head. Sorry doesn't fix this. I felt alone. Completely alone. The house that once felt like home now felt like a prison. I wanted to scream, to cry, to run away. But where could I go when everyone had turned their backs? One night, I found Mark in the living room, staring at old photos. Do you remember this day? I asked softly. He didn't look up. Memories don't erase betrayal. I want to believe we can heal. He finally met my eyes. Can we? I don't know, I admitted. But I have to try. He sighed, sitting down. I'm scared, Claire. Scared of what's left. Me too, I said, sitting beside him. But we have to face it together. For a moment, the cold void between us seemed smaller. But I knew the road ahead would be long, and the trust we lost might never fully return. I never thought I'd say this out loud, but sometimes loneliness feels like a living thing. It creeps in quietly, then grabs hold of you before you realize it's there. One evening, I found myself telling Maya everything, my best friend who didn't judge. I felt invisible, Maya, I said, voice cracking. Mark was always working, late, exhausted. I was at home, overwhelmed with the kids, with no one to talk to. She nodded, eyes soft. You were alone. I was, I whispered. That's when Marcus came around. He was kind, attentive. He made me feel seen. Did you love him? She asked gently. I don't know, I admitted. It was complicated. It wasn't about love. It was about needing to feel alive. Still, it was a betrayal. I know, I said, tears threatening to fall. But it wasn't just a moment. It was 4 years of broken promises. Later, I caught Mark staring out the window. You know, I never saw it coming, he said quietly. I wasn't proud, I said, but I was drowning. He looked away. I was trying to build a life for us, but I didn't realize you were sinking. I didn't tell you, I said, because I was scared. Scared you'd leave. Scared I'd lose everything. Mark's voice was cold. You lost everything anyway. I'm paying for it every day, I whispered. One night, Emily confronted me. Mom, do you think Dad deserves this? She asked. I shook my head. No, but I can't change the past. Sarah added, it's like you broke something that can't be fixed. I'm trying to fix it, I said. Mark accused me of using Marcus to punish him. That's not true, I said fiercely. It was a cry for help, not revenge. He shook his head. Your silence was the real betrayal. I was trying to protect us, I said softly. Protect? He laughed bitterly. You destroyed my trust. I know, I said, swallowing. Hard. The affair ended when Marcus moved away. No grand goodbye, just silence. I thought that was the end, I said. But it wasn't, Mark said. It's just the beginning of what you broke. I wish I could take it back, I whispered. Mark's eyes were hard. Words aren't enough. I understand, I said. In the quiet moments I questioned everything, my choices, my love, my failures. Maya reminded me, you're human, Claire, not perfect. But I hurt the people I love, I said. And that's the hardest part of all, she said. Mark said he needed time to heal, but his silence felt like punishment. I was trapped between guilt and hope, trying to hold on to whatever was left. One night I told him, I want to rebuild, to make things right. He looked at me, tired. Can you? I don't know, I admitted. But I have to try. The road ahead was unclear, but I refused to give up completely. Even in the bitterest truths, I found a flicker of hope. I need space, Claire, Mark said one evening, voice flat but firm. I can't do this anymore. Space, I echoed, heart sinking. How much space? I don't know. Weeks, maybe months. I swallowed hard, feeling the ground slip beneath me. Please, Mark, don't say goodbye. We can work through this. He looked away. It's not about working through. I'm filing for divorce. The words hit me like a punch to the stomach. Divorce? After everything? He nodded, voice cold. I need to move on. That night, I packed a bag and drove to my sister Beth's house. Her guest room felt smaller than I remembered, colder. I hate this, I told her, voice breaking. Beth sighed. You brought this on yourself, Claire. I bit my lip, tears welling. I know I made mistakes, but I'm trying to fix it. Beth shook her head. Trying isn't enough. He's already moved on. The days blurred. I called Mark, begged for a chance. Not now, he said. I'm busy. I stopped by the house once. From the driveway, I saw him laughing with a woman I didn't know. Younger, smiling like they hadn't just torn our lives apart. I wanted to scream, to run, to disappear. Our mutual friends took sides. Calls stopped. Invitations vanished. Are you okay? Maya asked once, hesitant. Not really, I admitted. I feel invisible. You're not, she said. You have to fight for yourself. At work, whispers followed me. Did you hear about Claire? Someone murmured. I held my head high, but inside I was crumbling. One night, Mark's brother called. I'm sorry, Claire, but Mark's hurting too. I know, I said. But why does it feel like everyone hates me? Beth criticized every move I made. You need to accept the consequences. I am, I said, voice low. But it's hard when no one stands by you. Mark's silence was louder than any argument. His absence carved a hole where love used to live. Yet, beneath the despair, Something stirred, a stubborn spark refusing to die. I won't let this break me, I whispered one night, alone. I'll rebuild, I promised myself, no matter how long it takes. The first call from Mark's lawyer came early one morning. The voice on the other end was cold, clinical. Mrs. Reynolds, we've uncovered some inconsistencies in your financial disclosures, she said. Could you explain why you opened a credit card without informing your husband? I blinked, heart pounding. It was for emergencies. I didn't think it was a secret. The lawyer's tone didn't soften. Such omissions can be interpreted as deceptive behavior. I swallowed, feeling the weight of every word. I'm not deceptive. I've made mistakes, but I'm honest. That conversation marked the start of the assault. At the next hearing, Mark's lawyer painted me as manipulative, someone hiding behind lies. I sat in the courtroom, feeling exposed, every flaw magnified. Mark's eyes didn't meet mine. His silence was louder than any accusation. Later, Emily confronted me. Mom, why didn't you tell us about the credit card? She asked, hurt in her voice. I forgot to mention it, I said softly. It wasn't important. It feels like you keep secrets, Sarah added. James looked at me, confused. I don't know who to believe. I'm still your mother, I said, voice trembling. I love you all. Their faces told me love wasn't enough anymore. Beth visited one afternoon. You need to face the consequences, she said. Stop making excuses. I'm not making excuses, I said, tears brimming. I'm trying to survive. Beth shook her head. Trying isn't enough when you've shattered trust. That night, I cried alone, the house echoing with emptiness. But even in despair, I refused to give up. I won't let this break me, I whispered to the darkness. I reached out to a therapist, searching for strength. Tell me what you're feeling, she said gently. Broken, I admitted, but still fighting. The road was steep, and the fall was deep. But I clung to hope, even when everything felt lost. Therapy was harder than I imagined. Sitting across from Dr. Lane, I felt exposed, like every shame and regret were under a microscope. So, Claire, she said gently, what brings you here today? I swallowed. I'm lost. I don't know who I am anymore. Tell me about the guilt you carry. I paused. It's heavy, like a shadow I can't shake. I betrayed my family and myself. Dr. Lane nodded. But guilt doesn't have to define you, Maya called one afternoon. How are you holding up? Some days better, I said. Others, I'm drowning. You're stronger than you think, she reminded me. Don't lose sight of your worth. That night, I looked in the mirror, searching for the woman I used to be. Who are you now? I whispered. Slowly, I began setting boundaries. No, more silence, no more hiding. At a coffee shop, Maya said, You deserve happiness, Claire, not just survival. I nodded, feeling a flicker of hope. Mark's absence still hurt, but I was learning to fill the space with myself. During a session, Dr. Lane asked, What would you say to your younger self? I'd tell her she's enough, I answered. Flaws and all, Maya laughed. You've come a long way. I'm not there yet, I admitted, but I'm moving forward. I started imagining a future where the past didn't control me, where I could breathe without guilt suffocating me. One evening, I told Dr. Lane, I'm ready to face Mark, to fight for closure. She smiled. That's a powerful step. Hope, flickered, fragile but real, and for the first time in a long time, I believed I might find peace. I stood in front of Mark, my heart pounding but my voice steady. We need to talk. No more secrets. He looked at me, wary. What now? This isn't about blame anymore, I said. It's about truth. Mark scoffed. Truth? You mean your version of it? No, I said firmly. All of it. I told him what I'd learned, how Marcus had lied, how he'd vanished when things got tough. He wasn't some innocent victim. He used me. Mark's eyes narrowed. So now you're the victim? No, I said. I'm done being silent, done being crushed by your judgment. He shifted, defensive. I'm the one who lost. Trust. And I'm the one who lost myself, I shot back. We both did. Don't make this about you, he said coldly. I took a breath. I'm not, but I am taking back my story. Mark's face twisted. What are you saying? That I'm not the monster you made me out to be? That I deserve respect? He laughed bitterly. Respect? After everything? Yes, I said. Respect for owning my mistakes, for surviving. The silence hung heavy. Then I spoke louder. You blame me for breaking us, but you've hurt me too, with your silence, your coldness. Mark looked away. Maybe I'm broken too. You don't get to break me anymore, I said, voice strong. I'm reclaiming my life. He clenched his fists, then slumped. What do you want from me? Closure, I said. And honesty. He hesitated, then nodded slowly. I can't promise forgiveness. I don't need it, I said. I need truth. We talked for hours, raw and real. No lies, no games. By the end, I felt lighter, like chains I'd worn forever were finally breaking. Walking away, I whispered, this isn't the end. It's my beginning. Months have passed since everything fell apart. I sit here now, in my small apartment, sipping coffee with Maya. You look different, she says with a smile. Stronger. I'm trying, I admit. Some days are easier than others. Are the kids talking to you? Emily called last week. Mum, can we meet? I miss you. Sarah sent a text. Thinking of you. James stopped by unexpectedly. Just wanted to say hi. It's slow, but they're coming back. On their terms. Mark? I don't know where he is. Doesn't matter much anymore. One afternoon, I met someone new. We talked for hours about everything and nothing. He asked, what do you want now? I smiled. Peace, and to love myself first. He nodded. That's the hardest love. I laughed softly. Maybe the most important. Later, I caught my reflection in the mirror. Scars still there, but so is the woman who survived. The pain hasn't vanished, but it doesn't control me. I'm learning to live with my past, not be defined by it. One evening, I called Maya. Thank you for everything, she laughed. You did all the work. No, I said. We did. I'm not perfect, but I'm whole, and that's enough.